Now, let me see what else needs to happen. If I click on these items here, nothing is changing. I'm clicking on the checkboxes, but nothing is being updated. So let me switch over to my task items. See, why is this complaining here? Oh, basically says this is not being used anymore. Let me go ahead and delete it. We get rid of that error here. I'll switch back to my task item. And now, right now, all that we're doing is that we're console logging. This has been checked, but obviously that is not enough. Let's add on toggle as a function. And this is what we'll call whenever this value changes, on toggle. And really the only thing that we'll need to tell the app about here is what item is that one. The app will know what is the current state of that task, and based on it, it will switch the value from true to false or false to true. So let's save this, go back to my app, and now we need to pass in on toggle to each of our task items. So on toggle, we're gonna need to call a function, and let's call this function toggle task. And it will receive the ID that we receive from the task item. Let me scroll up and create another function, const, or we can do it with the regular function as well. Function toggle task. This will receive an ID of the task, and we're gonna need to do something here. That something is gonna be to update the tasks. We'll get whatever the current value of the tasks. Let's just call this current tasks. We're gonna iterate over that using the map function. And for each one of those current tasks, we're gonna check for the following. If the current task's ID equals whatever the ID that we're getting from the toggle task argument, then we're gonna have to update that task. So basically get me all the values from the task object, but change the done value so it is the opposite of whatever it is, right? So t done. Let's save and see what that looks like. Well, need to put the else. Just give me the t as is. So let's read this function again. We're getting the current task's value, which in this case is that value right here. And then for each item, so we're iterating over it and we're checking, does this task has the same ID as the one that we called the toggle task function with? If it is, then we want you to extract all the properties out of that object. We want you to spread them into a new object. Only change the done property to be the opposite of whatever it is right now. Otherwise, then return that task as is, which basically means don't change anything about it. And now let's see what happens. If I toggle this on, the functionality works correctly. Everything is working as expected. If I toggle this to and do show done only, everything will work fine. Now you remember that we had the issue in the previous version of this application that if I added a new task here and I hit enter or added it, it will also display it, but that is not happening here because our React application is smart enough to understand because the done property is false, then it would not be shown on that view anyway. Only when I toggle this back off do we see the new task that we just added here. Only thing we need to do now is implement the clear completed function. So I'll create another function called clear completed. And what this will do is that it will set the tasks to whatever the current value of the current tasks, except that it will filter out all the ones that are done. So filter task if the task is done. We'll save this. Here's the function. We'll pass it over to our toolbar on clear completed. call this function. We'll go over to our toolbar. We'll receive that function. What did we call it? OnClear completed. So this will receive OnClear completed. And right over here, we'll just call this function here. Now, because this is not receiving or passing any input, we can just do the following. So on click, call onClear completed, which you'll receive from whoever instantiated this component, which in our case, that is the app component here. Switch back. This receives a function called clear completed, which filters out all the completed ones. If I click on clear completed, automatically, oh, let's see, what did I do? I think I did the opposite of what I wanted to do, where I filtered out the not deleted one. So this needs to be not done. Let's save, refresh, and do it again. If I have another new task, hit enter, it's been added. And now I have these two tasks completed. If I click on clear completed, it will filter out the list. It will update my statuses. Everything is in sync without having to explicitly instruct each element on my document here what it needs to do about that action that I just did.